Hey there viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review. And today's review is going to be on Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection, Blurr. Now, this figure is a retool of Studio Series 86 Blurr, meant to more resemble IDW Blurr. And as you can see, they did a lot of retooling. But we'll see that in the comparison. For now, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Now, of course, we've got the standard Velocitron packaging. So we've got Blurr in robot mode. Got a picture of his vehicle mode right there. Got a render of the figure right there. Got where he'll be packaged in vehicle mode. Unfortunately, no window. Got his name right there. Got another picture of his robot mode. Here we have him in both modes, and before I throw away the packaging, just a quick little tangent. I promise I'll make this really quick. So, with Legacy, we've got these different universes, like Cybertron universe, G2 universe, Prime universe. One thing I don't get is, this is meant to be like IDW Blurr. So why didn't they call this guy IDW Universe Blurr or whatever? Is it because they're losing the license to the Transformers comics or whatever? I don't know. They could have just called this guy Comic Universe Blurr like they're doing with Impactor, but well, I don't work for Hasbro, so I'm not sure the actual reason, but oh well. If anything, it's just a small nitpick that only I have, and it doesn't affect the actual figure. So, yeah. Now, taking a look at the vehicle mode, of course, it's a heavy retool of the Studio Series 86 figure, as I said, and right off the bat, we can see some major differences from the Studio Series figure. I mean, for one, I can't say shield because on the Studio Series figure it doesn't detach, but the, I guess, front bit is entirely remolded. These bits are also retooled, and they now have wheels, which, well, they don't roll, they're just molded on, but still, I quite like how that looks. We also have some retooling here. Right underneath. Unfortunately, there's no added rolling wheels on the underneath, but the Studio Series figure also lacks some rolling wheels. So, yeah. Now the back, of course, we've got some thrusters, and of course we can plug in some blast effects. So we can just plug these in, and we can make it look like he's just going at really fast speeds. I mean, he is called Blurr after all. So yeah. Now for weaponry, he pretty much has the same accessories that came with Studio Series Blurr. So of course we still have the standard gun, just molded in a light blue plastic this time. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is all spark blue if you remember the old movie toy line. And can just take a blast effect. Well, if you remember the Studio Series Blurr, then you'll know the answer, but well, you can't get one on there. So there's that. And you also get this, I guess, welding torch. Or it could be like a condiment container. Who knows? But these can store on the figure. So you just plug the gun into here, and then the little, I guess, welder can go here as well. So you got that going on. So yeah. And for comparison, here we have IDW Blurr with, well, G1 Blurr, if you will. And you can just see the retooling that they did. In fact, let's remove the guns for this so you can get a better look. I mean, the accessories are pretty much the same, just in a different color, but for the actual figures, you can just see the retooling that they did. I mean, this bit's shorter. It looks different because this is meant to emulate the G1 design, where on the original toy, this could come off and become a shield, whereas the IDW design was pretty much an entire new take, pretty much. This has got some added wheels, which of course don't turn, as I said. The shoulders have been retooled. Underneath, we've got some added bits here. Of course, the colors are different. So yeah. And my throat stopped working. Now, I'm a huge fan of the G1 movie, but I actually kind of prefer the IDW design. I don't know, like, this is what Hasbro thought that, like, cars were gonna look like in 2005. Like this, Hot Rod. I mean, you could just say that this is a Cybertronian design, but yeah, this is more based on, like, what we thought the future was gonna look like. Whereas this, I mean, sort of similar, but I think this is sort of more believable. I mean, I don't know. I just think this looks a bit cooler. Yeah, G1 is probably gonna complain, but I just think this looks cooler. Now, I do also have the Shattered Glass release, but seeing how it's pretty much just this in different colors, I decided to not get that out as well. So, yeah. And well, that's pretty much it for the vehicle mode. Overall, I really like how this looks. I mean, seriously. I mean, especially in hand, this looks really nice. So, getting on to the transformation. Now, seeing how this is essentially just a retool, it transforms pretty much the same way as Studio Series 86 Blurr. But well, let's just do it anyway, because it's nice to have a refresher. So, to do the transformation, of course, just untap the side bits and just lift them up. Get them out of the way. Untap these side bits. Open them up. Get this entire section down. Split that. Push in this little, I guess, well, I'm not sure what you'd call this, like, stabilizer. I know, but you just push that into this leg. Close these up. Push in the feet. And that's the legs done. Push in the seat. Rotate the windshield around. Get these down and out the way so you can push in the little sections here. push these in. Get this section to the back. We'll move this in down to the back. That shows the head. Rotate these around. Move them down. And then move the arm down. And I just do the same for the other arm. And here is Blur in robot mode. And once again, you can just see how much retooling they've done. I mean, seriously, if you're an IDW fan, then seriously, this guy just... I mean, if anything, this kind of looks like Cyberverse Blur. So I'm pretty sure the Cyberverse Blur took some inspiration from the IDW design. But well, taking a look at the robot mode, so just having a 360. Of course, it still has the same bits of kibble from the Studio Series figure, so these are attached to the wrists. Still have this on the back. So yeah. And well, taking a look at the head. That is definitely a much better looking head sculpt. I mean, if I just get the Studio Series head out. Seriously, which one do you prefer? I mean, seriously, the Studio Series figure just has that lifeless expression, whereas with the Legacy the Legacy version, I'll just say that to avoid stammering non-stop. It kind of looks like he's got this smug expression on him, which gives him a bit of character. Now, of course, we can give him his accessories, and of course, they just plug in the same way. And of course, if you want to store them, they can just store in here if you want. So yeah. And of course, as shown in the vehicle mode, the gun can take a blast effect if you really wanted to. And there are ports on the feet, so if you want to plug in the weaponizer, or what I like to do, plug in the blast effector too. Though the ankle pivot is making this a bit hard. There we go. So yeah, if you I can't speak. If you really want Blur to have blast effects coming out of his feet, then there you go. So yeah. Although they are pretty much the only parts in this figure that I can see, aside from the top of the shoulders, which are actually hidden now. Because we do have these added sections. I suppose we should just get on to the actual comparison now. So here we have the Legacy figure with the Studio Series figure. So we're just comparing G1 Blur with IDW Blur. And seriously, is this even the same character? I mean, that's a lot of differences. I mean, the heads are different, the shoulders are retooled. I mean, heck, even the waists are retooled. The only things that I can see being the same are the forearms, the legs, and I think also the chests. Well, the Autobahn insignia is in a different location. And once again, I prefer how the Legacy version looks. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of those white boots that the Studio Series version had. I know that they were G1 accurate, but still, I just think that the Legacy version has better colors overall. So, yeah. Now for posability, so if we just remove the weapons for this. Of course, it's pretty much the same as the Studio Series version, so you can look side to side, you can kind of look up and down. The arms are on, I guess, faux ratchets, because they do kind of indent when you move them, but he can move his arm around. He can kind of T-pose, but thanks to these newly molded sections, it does unplug the arms when you do it. He's got elbows, which can swivel. The wrists can also swivel, although these are attached to them. The waist can rotate. His legs can go forwards, they can go backwards. Got a knee joint, this can swivel. Do the splits. He's got an ankle pivot. And he can move his foot. So yeah. Suppose if you want to get him into some running poses, you will need a stand, although one thing I did notice, well, the Studio Series figure does have the standard stand port if this will focus. See, it's like a hexagon. The Legacy figure just has this circle, so stand ports is quite loose fitting on this version for whatever reason. I don't know why. If it's like mold, if it's the mold just starting to degrade a little bit, I don't know, because I did notice if these are not attached, then yeah, it's a bit loose, but it's only when it's not attached onto here. So it's not like Cosmos where it affects the posability. And once again, it could just be my copy, I don't know. But overall, that's pretty much all I have to say about this figure. So complaints, well, these sections do get in the way of the T-posing, so that is kind of a nitpick for me. Well, it's not really a nitpick, it does get in the way of a bit of posability, so yeah. Also, most of the complaints I had with Studio Series Blurr still go over to this figure. So these being attached to the fists and all that. But overall, I think this is actually superior to Studio Series Blurr. That's not me saying that the G1 design is inferior. If anything, I'm just saying I think I actually kind of prefer the IDW design or something. I don't know. I guess I've learned something about myself. I've learned that I prefer IDW Blurr to G1 Blurr. Well, design wise. But yeah. Overall, do I recommend this figure? Well, if you don't have the mold, then I'd say actually, that's kind of a hard decision, because there could be people who absolutely love the G1 Blurr design, so you know what? I'm just gonna say, this is a really fun figure, and I do think it looks better than the Studio Series figure, so even if you're not a fan of the IDW design, I'd still recommend it, because, well, you could repurpose it as like Cyberverse Blurr, maybe. I don't know, but still, I really like how this figure looks. So, yeah, I definitely do recommend it. So, this has been my review on Legacy Velocitron Blurr, and this is Charlie Young, signing off.